12. On Nina's birthday, her family hosted a grand banquet to celebrate her return to society. Meanwhile, I sat in front of my computer, anxiously awaiting the lottery results. Although I wasn't sure if buying a lottery ticket would change anything, it didn't hurt to dream. What if I actually won? Leo, on the other hand, wasn't nervous at all. In fact, he never believed I could win the jackpot. While I waited for the draw, he sliced some fruit for me and worked on his laptop beside me. I heard him type a few keys, then stop. Leo sighed. Sophia, even though our family is in debt, things like lottery tickets. Holy shit. Before Leo could even finish, I couldn't help but swear. Leo's eyes widened, as if surprised that his refined sister, me, would use such language. I can't believe it actually won. I stared in disbelief at the lottery ticket in my hand, then back at the winning numbers on the screen. I couldn't help but marvel. As expected of the numbers chosen by the heroine, they actually won. I wonder if Nina is even in the mood to buy lottery tickets right now. After all, since I became Sophia, her life hasn't been going smoothly. Additionally, I had prepared a birthday gift for her. Perfect timing, it should be arriving right about now. 13. Nina caused Diana to suffer a loss at the hotel. And the manager of that hotel happened to be Nina's college classmate. In the original story, he secretly copied the hotel's surveillance footage, planning to use it later to blackmail Nina into staying with him. However, Nina turned the tables and had him sent to jail for a few days. As for the footage in that manager's possession, I managed to buy it for just $20,000. The surveillance footage from upscale hotels is exceptionally clear. The footage vividly captured how Nina made Diana suffer. I also spent $5,000 to have someone replace the video originally prepared by the Yen family, a compilation of Nina's photos from childhood to adulthood, with this surveillance footage. Then I anonymously sent a copy of the surveillance footage to Diana. Given Diana's personality, I was confident she wouldn't let me down. And indeed, Diana lived up to my expectations. That very night, she posted the video exposing how Nina had harmed her on social media. Of course, she edited out the parts about herself. Though Nina wasn't a celebrity, the news of her being lost as a child, raised by wealthy adoptive parents, and later reunited with her equally wealthy biological parents had earned her a considerable following on social media. The moment Diana posted the video, it shot to the top of the trending list within minutes. Satisfied, I closed the app and looked up, only to find Leo staring at me with disapproval in his eyes. My heart skipped a beat, thinking he was blaming me for being too harsh on Nina. The explanation was right there on the tip of my tongue, but in the end, I held it back. Brother, I did this. If you want to blame someone, blame me. Sophia, Leo said to me, leave things like that to your brother from now on. Your hands are meant for playing the piano, not for getting into trouble. 14. Nina's scandal sparked a major uproar online. It was only after Nina's family and Sebastian stepped in together that the situation was finally brought under control. As for how they dealt with the police, I wasn't sure, but the Vanderlyn family ended up paying the price for it. Before the fire reached Nina, both Sebastian and Nina's family had chosen to stand by and do nothing to help the Montgomery family, who had raised her. Now that the fire had reached Nina, neither side could remain idle any longer. They worked together to undermine many of the Vanderlyn family's projects, and Diana's father was even invited for a talk on several occasions. Just as the fire seemed about to be extinguished, Leo stepped in. He leaked information online claiming that Nina's scheming against Diana had caused her adoptive parents to go bankrupt and ultimately led them to commit suicide by jumping from a building. Afterward, Nina showed no remorse. Instead, she eagerly returned to her biological family and even attempted to buy off 20 years of familial bonds with $50,000. Once the news broke, not only were netizens outraged, but Nina herself immediately showed up at our door. She seemed to have been going through a rough patch lately, looking quite worn out. "Brother, you were the one behind those online posts, weren't you? Are you trying to drive me to my grave?" Nina immediately pinned the blame on Leo as soon as she arrived. Leo closed his laptop and replied calmly, "Wasn't that your doing? I didn't do anything to you, did I?" Nina put on a wounded expression. "The reason I rushed back to my biological family back then was to ask for their help in resolving the Montgomery family's troubles. Besides, after being separated from my biological parents for over 20 years, is it wrong to want to reunite with them?" "There's nothing wrong with that," I sneered. "But it's true that you caused the Montgomery family's bankruptcy, isn't it? And it's also true that my parents lost their lives because of it, isn't it? What are you complaining about?" The decision by Mr. and Mrs. Montgomery to take their own lives after their business collapsed, leaving their 2 children burdened with overwhelming debt, was deeply irresponsible. But they had genuinely raised Nina for 20 years. Unfortunately, they raised a wolf in sheep's clothing who turned out to be ungrateful. 15. After Nina left, I immediately began gathering evidence of Sebastian's past illegal activities. Given the typical behavior of a domineering CEO, he was bound to seek revenge for Nina. But I never expected he would actually break the law and have me kidnapped in broad daylight. I was taken to a somewhat rundown warehouse, where Sebastian's men tied my hands behind my back. Several large, muscular men stood around me. Judging by their attire, they were likely Sebastian's bodyguards or something similar. One of them was even toying with a dagger. Sebastian, as always, was dressed in a tailored suit. He looked down at me with disdain, as if I were trash. When he wasn't speaking, he radiated the aura of a sinister villain. "Sophia, it appears you still haven't taken my warning to heart," Sebastian remarked, his voice laced with disdain. Mr. Ashford and Nina truly share an unbreakable bond. Even after such an incident, the two of them hadn't parted ways. Indeed, like attracts like. Nina was no saint, and Sebastian was no better. In the original story, perhaps to emphasize Sebastian's uniqueness in his relationship with Nina, the author frequently portrayed him as ruthless. While reading the book, I didn't feel particularly strongly about it. But now that I have become one of his victims, the feeling is utterly revolting. "So, you're admitting you were behind all of this?" Sebastian crouched down, gripping my chin with one hand. "I never would have guessed you had the nerve." "You can eat whatever you want, but you can't say whatever you want. What could someone as sensitive as me possibly do?" I flat out denied it. Sebastian let out a cold snort. "Whether you admit it or not makes no difference. But since you've become a nuisance in my sight, you might as well just disappear." I met Sebastian's gaze without flinching and sneered. "What? Are you planning to kill me, Mr. Ashford?" Forced to kneel on the ground, I wasn't the least bit panicked. Based on my understanding of the original story, after Nina suffered such a major loss, Sebastian was bound to seek revenge for her. So even though I had been captured, I had prepared a backup plan.